Hey, we've been hearing some rumors about some giant trophy-sized crappie that have been coming out of a little lake located up in the northeastern corner of the state of Louisiana. On this week's episode, we're going out to investigate those reports and see if they're true. Come on along. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
It's time for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Well, it is a gorgeous springtime morning right here in northeast Louisiana. Sun's just coming up over the horizon. Looks like it's going to be a great day to get out and do some crappie fishing. And as you can see, the beautiful serene shot just over my right shoulder is one of the back coves with a lot of standing timber at Poverty Point Reservoir. That's where we're located today. This lake is situated right up in the far northeastern corner of the state of Louisiana. Bayou Macon runs right along beside it. This lake has got a real interesting history. It's named for some of the Indian mounds, and a historic site located nearby where they found a lot of old Indian artifacts. There's an active population of black bears that roam this part of the country. A lot of interesting things going on around here that we'll talk about, but mainly it's the crappie fishing for the big trophy-sized crappie that grow right out in that lake. So today we're going to take the Nitro Z20 out on Poverty Point Reservoir for my first trip here. Show you around, show you some techniques that may work if you'd like to come here, and some of the other things that there are to do in the area. While I'm out doing that, we're taking you around the region for your local fishing and lake reports from your backyard from our expert team of insider reporters on your local lakes, rivers, and bays, both fresh and saltwater. Right now, Z20 goes into Poverty Point Reservoir in Louisiana. We take you back to the FSN studios to get it all started with your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are forecasting the best game fish action of the weekend to begin right around sunrise and again around sunset on both Saturday and Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 6:56 and set at 7:58. And the moon will be 75% illuminated. Stay with us for freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Plus, Bassmaster Elite Angler Randy Howell joins us to answer your Ask the Pro question. We're coming right back.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate.
There's one. Oh, good crappie, good crappie. Look at that dude. Wow. Got him. Man, are we off to a start or what? Look at that. Good grief. That is exactly what we came all this way to do. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're on the lake, and little bitty Bobby Garland crappie jig caught a toad right there. Well, I'm going to put some fish in the live well today. Good start. Okay, let's get you a little info about Poverty Point Reservoir. It's 2,700 surface acres, entirely man-made. They actually took an old bean field here in the early 2000s, put dikes all the way around it, put riprap on those dikes for erosion control. It's a fairly shallow lake, about 8-foot average depth. There is some deeper water in some of the canals. It opened in 2003, so it's a relatively new lake. Fairly clear water for a lake that's just kind of out in the field like this, and for some reason it grows giant crappie. In fact, I want to show you a couple of pictures right here. We've got a great state park here, beautiful facility, and they weigh a lot of the fish that get caught out of here, and I'll show you a couple of pictures, but these are some giant trophy crappie that grow in this lake, and you can see some of these fantastic pictures. Some of the biggest crappie that have ever been caught on the record books in the state of Louisiana have come right here out of Poverty Point and get weighed in right there. So that gets you some idea of what this lake is like. We're going to do a little more fishing. Actually, I caught that fish on a spinning rod, but I'm going to show you my setup here in just a second. I'm actually spider rigging today, and I'm going to try to do most of my fishing spider rigging. I'll show you that coming up in just a second. Right now, let's get you started with fishing and lake reports.
Hey, Oklahoma's big bass expert Chuck Justice is at it again. Here's his first double-digit bass of the year, 11.9 from McGee Creek. Caught it just a few days ago. On the same outing, he had 1 over 8 and 1 over 7. All those fish came on a LaRue rattling crawler, either green pumpkin or blue fleck color. He says that is by far his #1 big bass bait for this time of year. He said McGee Creek that what you want to do is get into the very nastiest of cover, use 25-pound fluorocarbon, and peg a 1/8 ounce sinker to your hook. And get back in there, he says, get in places that other people just don't want to get to and fish. That's where those giants are coming from. That's a really good tip for you on McGee Creek. He said that the water is more stained than he has ever seen it. He's been there for 26 years, but it doesn't really seem to affect the fishing. He's catching them where the visibility is only about 5 inches deep, where the clear water about 1 foot deep visibility. Hey, we've got lots of wind in the state here in the last few days. That's obviously going to happen this time of year. Andrew Upshaw, the pro angler's got a tip for you on that.
Hey guys, fishing is heating up around here in central Oklahoma. Make sure whenever you're on the water, wear a good life jacket, attach your kill switch, safety first when you're on the water. Have fun and good fishing.
And I've also got a tip for you. You can't catch them if you don't get them.
Hey, I mentioned I'd show you how I've got my spread set up with my rod holders. As you can see here, I've got rod holders on either side, and I've got a big 14-foot long rod on the front, and then I back that up with an 11-footer behind it. So what I'm doing is covering 2 distances out from the boat. I'm going to be covering several different depths, and then you come over here to this other side. I've got pretty much the exact same thing. I've got a big 14-foot long rod in the front, an 11-foot long rod behind it. So basically I'm covering 28 feet of water, a 28-foot wide swath, and I've got these rods staggered, and I'll be experimenting with different depths. I'm using my remote control Motor Guide XI5 trolling motor to steer my way around, and I'm just going to slowly ease my way around, check different depths, different lengths of line out, see if I can get bit. Hey, one thing before we take a quick break. I've had a chance to talk to some locals around here. Number one, you're going to be fishing around tons of people if you come here. There's probably 100 boats on the lake today, and it's just basically the middle of the week. It's on a Tuesday. This is not a quantity lake. You're not going to come catch a bunch of crappie here. It's a trophy crappie lake. You may catch the biggest crappie of your life, but you're probably not going to catch any big limits or anything like that. So don't come expecting to keep a whole bunch of fish and fill your fish basket or your live well with fish. You're going to be fishing for one really big fish if you fish it. We'll be right back for more from Poverty Point Reservoir in Louisiana. There's one right there. Oh my gosh, look at that. What a pig. I got my net all the way out to the far end. Come in that net, got him. Oh man, look at this. What a giant toad. Golly. Unbelievable, look at the size of that crappie, will you? That is a hog. We're gonna stick that dude on the scale just to see what he weighs. Big old long 14-foot Lou's Wally Marshall Signature Series rod stuck way out there with a little bitty Bobby Garland bait on it. We'll show you all this at the end. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're at Poverty Point Lake today, just north of Delhi, Louisiana. And this place is pretty amazing, I tell you. It produces tons of huge crappie. Some of the biggest crappie on the record books in the state come from this lake. I want to tell you right now that we're fishing a little bit of a strange way. One of the questions that Wally Marshall told me he gets asked most often is, how do you fish on a lake that doesn't have a lot of cover in it? There's not a ton of brush, stumps, rocks, not a lot of stuff. It's a fairly open water, fairly cover-free lake. So what you do is you put out a spread of these rods and rod holders and you spider rig and you just cover a lot of water. Now, that interesting thing about that crappie right there, we're in 22 feet of water right now, and that crappie was only about 6 feet under the surface. So you don't always need to be fishing at the bottom. You set them at various depths. I've got one set about 10, one about 8, one about 6, and one about 5. So I'm experimenting with the depth to see how deep these crappie are. And this one hit the rod that was probably 8 feet down in 22 feet of water. Just a giant crappie right there. Unbelievable. And real quick, let's stick him on the scale. 2.5, 2 pounds, 5 ounces. Right now, we get you fishing and lake reports from right where you live.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you by Lone Star Outdoor News, updating you on the Texas scene in the woods and on the waters with forecasts, updates, and reports every 2 weeks. Get your subscription now. This week we're going to go to Toledo Bend, where over the last year, over 100 fish over 10 pounds have been documented. It's a great time to be fishing Toledo Bend. Get your spinner baits, get your jig and pig, get your Texas rig worm, and your creature baits, and get out there, fish the shallows about 5 to 8 feet deep, and take your time. You may catch one of those Toledo Bend sharelunkers. Now, crappie on Toledo Bend are moving out toward the deeper structure like the chicken coop, and they can be caught on your standard crappie rigs with minnows or crappie jigs in cinnamon teal, chartreuse, or white with a red head. Lake Athens also showing a lot of good fishing right now, including topwaters for largemouth bass. Some of those fish have apparently already wrapped up the spawn this year, and they're starting to feed heavily and hitting topwaters like your poppars, spooks, and buzzbaits. You can also fish the docks with your wacky rig worms or a trick worm with a conventional weightless Texas rig. Now that's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Lone Star Outdoor News. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, high tides, fresh water, late arriving fronts, and strong spring winds are some of the variables Texas coastal anglers are contending. With these conditions, it's important to do your homework and come up with not only a plan A and B, but also some options C, D, E, and F. It's springtime in Texas, and you just never know. Finding places to hide from the wind is important. The south end of Sabine Lake from Blue Buck Point eastward has been holding fish. The marsh on the Louisiana side is also an option. Just make sure you have a Louisiana license to go into these marsh areas. East Galveston Bay and West Galveston Bay have been giving up some fish. The south shoreline of East Galveston Bay, as well as West Bay from Caracua Reef to almost San Luis Pass, has been good. Christmas and Bastrop Bays are poised to turn on. Now, East Matagorda Bay continues to be a hot spot for anglers throwing one of Unfair Lure's new lineup of baits. Not only individual anglers are finding success, but pros winning tournaments and money are also coming from these lure lineup. Now, the lakes and shoreline from San Antonio Bay around Cedar Bayou to Allen's Bight are in springtime form, giving up trout, redfish, and black drum. East Flats behind Port Aransas has been good for redfish. From Peta Island to the mouth of Baffin Bay, trout are being caught on live shrimp and topwater lures in water 3 to 4 feet deep. Anglers wading and drifting grassy spoil islands or flats out of Port Mansfield continue to be rewarded. Longbar, south of Cullens, and Mexiquita Flats continue to produce out of Port Isabel. Live, cut bait, and artificials are all working. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Lose, fueled by passion, driven by innovation. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
Got it. Oh, good pull, good pull. Look at him pull that rod down. That's a big old black one right there. I think I can just lift this one in. All right. Whoop. Don't go away from me. All right. All right, there's another one. Welcome back, everybody. That's an old dark colored crappie right there on little kind of a copper colored jig right there. All right, well, we're Poverty Point crappie fishing today. Let's talk a little bit about the spawn. We're in the springtime right now, headed into the summer months a little later, but right now we've got fish in several different stages of the spawn. And I'll tell you this, all the crappie don't spawn at the same time. So a lot of these fish are sitting out over these deeper channels out here. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be fishing anywhere from 5 to 25 feet of water today, but a lot of these females, which I don't know if that is or not, will be sitting out there over that 20, 25 feet water, letting those eggs ripen. And here's the deal, when the surface water temperature warms up, those fish will move up in the water column. So they're down there deep in the winter, but as the water warms, they just slowly rise to the surface. They'll get about 5 feet below the surface where they can get some of that good warmth, let those eggs ripen, then they move horizontally to the shore. Now we're not more than about 30, 40 yards off the shore. In fact, we'll show you, we've got rocks lining this entire shoreline here, and those fish will move up there in 3 to 5 feet of water, make beds about as big around as a trash can lid, kind of like a bass does. The females will lay the eggs, the males will come in and fertilize those eggs, and that's the spawning process. But you can catch some deep, some shallow, and that's the reason. You've got some pre-spawners, and you've got some spawners, and some that have already spawned all at the same time. You've just got to move around, experiment, and see where they are. This one goes in the live well. We take you to more fishing and lake reports.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here for your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report. We're talking saltwater fishing. Talk to some of our guide buddies in southeast corner state, Hopedale area, Delacroix. They're catching lots of trout, lots of redfish. Soft plastics on 1/8 and 1/4 ounce jig heads. We've been rigging the paddle tail or the ball tail K-wigglers on 1/8 and 1/4 ounce Rockport Rattler jig heads, except for your redfish. They're throwing the paddle tail and casting it out towards the shoreline and steady reeling it. If the water's off, they'll put a cork on it. For the trout, they're catching those in about 3 to 7 foot of water. Same thing, 1/8 or 1/4 ounce light jig head. They're throwing both the ball tail and the paddle tail K-wiggler. They said the red and white, the avocado, and a chartreuse tail, and of course a bone diamond. Tell you, you can't go wrong.
Thanks, Captain Kevin. I tell you what, friends, last week I told you there were a few places where they were catching some bass and some white perch, you know. One of the better places is down around Houma, Louisiana. All the bayous, you know, the backwaters back there, they're catching bass, they're catching white perch, and of course, the same bayous, you can also catch redfish right now. Also around Lake Charles, Louisiana, there's the Lacassine Reserve. They're not catching anything really big, but they're catching a lot of 2 to 3 pound bass. They're catching them on long plastic worms with a very light slip sinker, also on the frog. They're throwing that frog across the top of that marsh and blowing it up.
Before we go to a break, I want to mention a couple of things about the area here. I mentioned there's a great state park here at Poverty Point. Fantastic facilities, a fishing pier, nice boat ramps, some hiking trails, great place to bike. They've got some cabins to stay in, and we are staying at the Black Bear Stay and Play Lodge. There's a really nice golf course just off the lake here at Delhi, Louisiana. Fantastic place to come on a trip and play a little golf, and a great lodge that we're staying in. Fantastic rooms, everything you would need in one spot. Here's all the information if you'd like to stay where we stayed. That's at the Black Bear Stay and Play Lodge right at the golf course. One long city block right off Poverty Point Reservoir. Hey, you can fish and play golf at the same trip. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Be sure to join Fox Sports Outdoors again next week, Thursday at 5:30, or catch the repeat airing Saturday morning at 8. And you can always watch the latest episode in full HD on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Plus, catch up on all past episodes by clicking the archive button, and see lots of how-to and product videos by clicking the how-to button. Also, stay up to date with the latest fishing news, videos, and photos by clicking the follow button on our Twitter feed, and get lots of that same info by clicking the like button on our Facebook page. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. Motor Guide Trolling Motors, because accuracy matters. Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made. And Fox Sports Outdoors is driven by Fort Worth Nissan and Lone Star Toyota.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional anglers. This week's question comes from Brent, who asks, is there a technique to specifically target big spotted bass? For the answer, we checked with the man who won the 2014 Bassmaster Classic, Randy Howell.
You want to catch a big spotted bass, I love those. Alabama spotted bass, Coosa River's where I grew up fishing a lot. If you want to catch a big spot in the springtime, two different ways, a big crankbait, a Livingston lure, a howler crankbait, a crawfish color like I won the Classic on, that's a good way to catch a big spot. Another way is a Carolina rig with a Yamamoto 5-inch green pumpkin Cinco. 3-foot leader, cover a lot of water in that 5 to 10 foot range, and those big spots that are out there spawning deep will bite that Cinco. So I hope that helps you catch more fish.
Thanks, Randy. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now it's time to give away a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Hey, next up, I get to give away a free pair of Costa sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week contest. Just a second, I'll tell you how you can enter and have a chance to win. Here's this week's winner. Ethan Myers of Houston, Texas caught this 55-inch redfish at Christmas Bay, Texas. He caught it and released it. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. On the right-hand side of the front page, click on the Costa Catch of the Week box, and you just might be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at their website. Just go back to the front page of our website, click on that Costa logo you see there. You can see all of their great products, including the fantastic 580 glass and polycarbonate lenses and all the frame styles, including the frame style I was wearing on this week's episode. It's called Double Haul. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff feature, I quickly just want to show you the baits that we caught these big giant crappie on this week's episode. They're all Bobby Garland baits. These are all Bobby Garland Mo-Glo jig heads. I think this is the 1/24 ounce size. And these are 4 different bodies, basically all new Bobby Garland colors. The top 2 are the Bobby Garland Slab Slayers, and the bottom 2 are the Bobby Garland Baby Shads. Fantastic colors. If you're coming here or really anywhere else, you want to catch a big crappie. This one is entitled The Lure and Lie of Retirement. Our American culture teaches us that if we show up and work hard for an entire career, we can go to that time clock, punch out one last time, retire, and life can become all about us. You know, the shame of that is that we spend an entire lifetime learning from our experiences what to do and what not to do. And we could pass that knowledge along to the generation coming behind. I'm asking all of us to resist those voices that say we've earned it. We're entitled because we've worked hard for an entire career, and use that knowledge to help someone else. Why? Because history has proven many times over that selfishness never leads to fulfillment or happiness. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Poverty Point Reservoir located in northeast Louisiana. If you're coming here, expect big crowds, lots of fishing pressure, but you could catch the trophy crappie of a lifetime. Until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.